What's going on? Welcome back to the Releasing Pressure podcast for fathers and men out there who, man, you guys just need a space to be able to take a breath. Today I'm joined by none other than Mr. Anthony Sheppard, a good brother in the community. Want to introduce yourself?
Thank you. You have me over here smiling. Thank you for thank you for having this platform
Oh, okay.
and creating a voice. And I think a lot of times we don't have these venues to do that.
Yeah.
So before you pass the mic to me, I wanted to, give you a credit and praise and doing what you do. Anthony Sheppard, born and raised Buffalo, New York. Went to Turner Carroll High School, TC Pride. Went to Buff State for undergrad. Went to Damon.
Okay.
Reason why I mentioned those actually, when we're talking about who you are, those are very key pieces in my life.
Yeah.
So you build relationships, you build foundations. I met Dr. St. Ville at Buffalo State College.
Dr. Chris, yeah.
So those type of things.
Yeah.
I am a non-custodial parent. I have 3 children. My daughter is 17, Anthony is 13, and Blake is 11.
Okay.
So I used to work I am a big advocate of non-custodial parent rights, just because I had to understand what I was going through and educate myself so I can fight better for my children.
That's huge. Yeah, that comes up a lot. I like to start off every episode with a quote and a scripture. And so today's scripture is from Ecclesiastes 7:9. It says, "Do not be quickly provoked in your spirit, for anger resides in the lap of fools." And then the quote is from Jason Wilson. He says, "One of the hardest things for a man to do is to deal with himself, to confront his own emotional pain and trauma so he can stop inflicting it on others." That verse, "Do not be quickly provoked in your spirit." I looked it up. And I know what the word provoked means, but I was trying to get a little deeper in terms of like the definition of it. And so some of the couple of the synonyms that came up was like, to be annoyed, angered, or the other piece was to behave aggressively. As I realized as a father, I have 2 little kids, my son will be 2 next month, my daughter's 4. And like, man, I just find myself like being like quickly provoked like a lot. And I'm just like, I need to get a handle on this. Like it's not, it's because really it's not the spirit I want to operate in with my kids. It's not, first of all, it's not healthy.
Yes.
I was raised in a house where early on, where like there was a lot of like drama between my mother and my father, and I saw him, like go off a lot with her. They went back and forth, but like I just don't want to bring that spirit and energy in my house. But I realized like I had some of that stuff in me that I saw. So like not being quickly provoked in my spirit, realizing that anger resides in the lap of fools. It's like I don't want to be foolish. So
No, you talk about that. So when you're talking about not being angrily provoked, so let's say you are provoked. There can be long suffering. I was provoked.
Okay.
And so for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah.
And then so you can get put in situations that may take longer to get out of.
Yeah.
So if you had better emotional intelligence, if you had better wherewithal, if you had a better surrounding or understanding of what it is that you're going through and how you're going through it, I think we can be better suited.
Yeah.
And I think early on, I have a better handle of my emotions now, but you had to go through the battle to understand the emotions.
Okay.
And so it becomes each battle, like how do I come out not wounded? But you need to go through it.
Okay.
Because there's no way around it. I can't guide someone else. Like my mother would always tell me, sometimes you go through things for other people.
Yeah.
So me going through everything I went through with family court, I feel that I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm not giving legal advice, but I'm giving my journey and I'm giving my testimony.
We need that, yeah.
And so that also adds credibility when I am ministering or servicing or counseling or whatever the people need. So it gives me a base. So it says in the Bible, I'm not the Bible, what the devil meant for evil, God will use for good. So you have to use the pain to fuel you to greater heights.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you don't get motivated until you sometimes are in your emotions, and it can go good or bad. Okay? Because pain's gonna hurt. So what are you gonna do from the pain? Am I gonna sit here and am I gonna allow it to, or can I build from it, okay? So they say the tornado has to come sometimes to clear the path. And then we can build new, but if you don't even allow the tornado to happen, because we're so used to wanting to control.
Well, we don't like tornadoes.
And we just don't even like positive energy.
Okay.
So even with the tornado, think about it, right? Within your body, we have these senses, and things are supposed to go a certain way, but we will block ourselves from blessings. We'll block ourselves from certain situations. We act like God need help. So when God sends you certain things, we have to question. And so that's part of your emotion. So when you deal with emotional intelligence, when you deal with what is your foundation?
Yeah.
And so you have to go through these things to build a foundation.
Yeah.
So when you have a situation, you can go negatively or positively. So I've been able to use this negative situation and kind of phrase it to, okay, this is a positive. And so and I'm able to do that.
So talk to us about like one of those negative situations where you're able to like take that and then make it more of a positive.
Just even, going to pick up my son, and he was at a different school.
Okay.
So how and what ways might I get better access to my son? So now we have to go through the courts. So now we go through the custody and visitation piece. So now I have access to medical records and school records, and I actually have a court order that has to be enforced.
Okay.
And they have to send me the same stuff as they send the mother, and I'm involved in all of the learning plans and lesson plans and all the other stuff. So that was a negative piece. So that's a perfect example. So the pain of not knowing where your son is, to now you actually have to, it's crazy, I have to be respected through a piece of paper, but think about it. You can't even go pick up your kids if you're not even on the paperwork.
I didn't know.
Yeah, you can't, even if you don't even, so even even if you don't have proper identification. So now they scan it.
Really? To pick up your kids?
To pick up your kids.
I didn't know that.
Let me go pick up my kids, depending on what school district you in, and depending on who the gatekeeper is.
Like you need ID.
ID, and they put it in the machine, and it's not even like on the phone, and it can't be outdated and expired, and
Really?
yeah.
Like you're in the airport or something.
Yeah, seriously. And to even get into the school, I have to look and present a certain way because I don't want to look like the Negro that's shot somebody but I'm also representing it. And I go to the school and I had to fight to get on the paperwork. So not knowing and coming to that, so either are you going to sit and just be, or are you going to be able to use that? But then there's going to be multiple situations. So how much do you want to win?
So let's pause for a second because we talked about being provoked in the beginning of this. So a situation like that will provoke me, you know.
Okay.
If I like, you know what I'm saying? Because like I think about our kids, like we're raising them, we emotionally, financially, all this stuff we're pouring into them, and then depending on how the relationship is, now you're in a situation like this with a school where you got to prove all the stuff to go pick up like your child, like that.
Much is given, much is required, and I would rather be able to go through the battles because I'm able to navigate it quicker. So my skill set, I'm blessed, and I'm not, I'm able to navigate, and it's called your. I don't know. I'm good with people and relationships.
Yeah, you are.
And so I'm able to go through this. So God doesn't give you assignments you can't handle. So if He gives me this is what you're supposed to do. So I'm able to maybe. I had this situation the other day. Okay, I was young man come up to me. He's having issues at home. The girlfriend is having mental issues, but it's a situation that he doesn't want to become physical.
Okay.
And he has kids in the household, but he's at a friend's house.
Okay.
But I've been in that situation. So, you use different situations to build character, to build understanding, to build all that. But it's all in a timeline. So when you're talking about being emotional, there was a situation where I didn't think correctly.
Yeah.
And so that built negative foundation for everything else. So now when this pops up, okay, let me act differently because I don't want the same results, even though I was correct. And I had to learn the system by going through the system.
Okay.
And even to the point of being incarcerated. And even knowing how to get things off your record and expunged and sealed and appealed. And I had to appeal to the highest court. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a full range moment. So if anything, just getting the paperwork for Anthony, that's easier than what was in the past. Really? So now we're going to make better decisions in year 12 than we made in year 3. Yeah. And so am I still emotionally involved from year 3? So some people are not going to see you evolve emotionally from year 3. So where do you see yourself at? And I dealt with imposter syndrome and this and that and all that other stuff. So those situations have propelled me to this. Yeah. But am I emotionally ready? Can I handle that? Do I go to therapy? Do I have friends? What are my outlets? How do I build good habits?
I was just going to ask you, what are some key things that you
therapy. I'm a huge advocate for Black mental health. Okay. It was actually a situation that I was in at work that forced me into therapy. I couldn't handle the pressure of work and having a high-end job and millions of dollars and politics and all that other stuff. Okay. Through EAP. Okay. So I got free services. So actually knowing what it is that you need when you need it. So when I was talking about blocking, I've been needed therapy. Okay. I've been needed help, but I never went. So the situation was such of a magnitude that I had to go. So God works in mysterious ways. So you're going to get what you need. So I could have saved 10 years worth of stress if I'd have just did what I was supposed to do.
Talk about it.
Years ago.
So, by the time you all see this, we're going to, pass this month of July. So July is Minority Mental Health Month. And so it's interesting that we're talking about that. I just had my wife Simone on a short while back, and we were talking about role strain and how, for fathers, it's even more difficult to deal with role strain because, we 30, 40 years ago, men, a lot of the responsibility was just, being a breadwinner, come home, give your spouse the check or something like that. You go to sleep, you go back to work. Now it's like, you got to be there financially, emotionally, psychologically, got to show up in so many different ways. And it's a strain. And I think women do it a lot better than we do. At least I think they manage it a lot better than we do. Because I know for me personally, I need to do one thing at a time. Like before we came here, my wife was like, "Oh, we gotta do this. You gotta put the car seat in, and then you gotta do something with the keys." I'm like, "Nope." I'm like, "Slow down. I need to do one thing at a time." Just talking to me about all these different things. So you just got me thinking about the whole role strain part. But you just talked about something totally different.
Hold on, so
you want to unpack that?
Yeah. You totally unpack. You can't just. That's actually a whole topic of the show within itself.
All right.
I think the key thing is this: knowing yourself, and you're like, okay, this is not working, this is working, or this is what I need to do, and this is your wife, and you're allowing the space. But the key thing is y'all have each other to kind of do that. Yeah. So in many situations, you're in the court, and actually, I have statistics. So there's like, hey,
you got the stats on?
I got the stats. I was in my Dr. St. Bill. So there's numbers, so you can actually go to New York courts and they have a dashboard, and it'll let you know of all the incoming filings, and what they were filed for, and then there's different categories, and so for example, and then you can break it down to visitation and custody and how much is in New York State. So I'll get to that, but knowing yourself and knowing your role and having a partner. So there's multiple situations. So I have multiple people in my village. So there might be a situation where you have a mother and father that get along. Okay. Then you have a father and a mother that may not get along, or the mother may get along and then the father may get along. But a lot of those are emotions. Okay. So, there's you hear the stories of, okay, well, she won't let him see the kid, or then you hear the stories of he's not active, okay, and he's not this and he's not that. All those are emotions because the kid loses out. Yeah. Okay. There's stories of, well, we're going to have to work this out, and I don't want to, use the court.
Yeah.
And then the divorce and this, or whatever the situation may be. But I think the key thing is choosing the correct partner and managing the partner that you're with. So when you're talking about really being evenly yoked, and it becomes a situation where are they at in their mental health? Where are they at? And so how you were brought up and raised and how your wife was brought up and raised. So now you're pouring into.
Well, my situation was kind of toxic in the beginning. My wife is a little better than mine.
But so at least you're there to balance out. So imagine if you didn't have that balance in that.
Yeah.
And at least if so that is able to ground you. So there's a lot of fathers, a lot of men or partners that aren't grounded.
Right.
Think about it. I'm very hard on myself. I learned from my father what not to do because he wasn't there.
The same here.
So I had to take those lessons and learns. And I remember my mother said I was always hard on myself because I tried so much with my kids, but she was just like, no, you're a great father, you're great this, but that's the imposter syndrome. Even dealing with the mothers in terms of trying to keep up with them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're on trips, they're here, they're there, they're having fun. And I'm like, oh, I'm paying child support. I can't do so. I get into debt, messing around trying to, have that life. But in actuality, are you really happy? So it all becomes, at a point, can we be an adult for the kid? And so it may be too painful to go back to do that.
Okay. To go back and do what?
To forgive.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So, but to get to a point, we have to kind of agree on something. So I'm in a situation where I don't think me and my child's mother will agree. So we agree to disagree.
Okay.
And we talked through the courts. We thought through paperwork. We thought through, that's the structure we need.
Okay.
So that's an emotion. My son is growing up. My son feels that. You know what I'm saying? There's a tug. What can I do? Can we this? Can we that? But then also, what did I do to create the situation? She feels a certain type of way.
Yeah.
I made her feel unsafe at some particular point about whatever.
Yeah.
But then 13, 14 years later, can we get to, but now, Yeah. Someone may not want to see you growing up. Someone may want, it might be about control. It may be about whatever.
Yeah.
So do I have the gumption about me to do what I need to do and handle what I need to handle? So what you said about that, and that's very prevalent. And so how do we get to that? And then the mediation, it's not court binding. Okay. So, we can mediate, you know what I'm saying? All you can do, but, you want to get what's on paper, and I have access to medical records, access to school records. And I tell men, get all that out the way early. They say, why?
Wait, get what out the way early?
All your paperwork, because eventually you're going to need the sign for the baby. Eventually you're going to need school or whatever. Even get it together while it's good.
What are some of the paperwork again?
Custody, visitation, and petitions. Okay. Access to your kid.
Okay.
Signing the birth certificate.
Okay.
Things of that nature, because you may need that, but it's easier to get things together while your emotions are happy. So let's say 2-3 years, everything hits the fan.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden we're in court. Yeah. Now I need to sign the birth certificate. Now, because now you can't see your kid.
Yeah.
But I have to prove that it's my kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The court's not gonna give you access to somebody that you didn't even sign.
Yeah.
Finding out what school they go to, making sure, but also that goes into the selection. So a lot of times, I always think worst case scenario, Antoine, just because I thought best case scenario and got the worst case.
Well, I was just about to say that, like some dudes gonna be like, Anthony, like everything's good right now, and if I ask for that stuff or I'm trying to be proactive about that, she might start thinking I'm
okay. So what you do is you just have it ready, so when you need to have the information.
Yes.
I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Amen to that.
And so you might be the answer to somebody else's prayer because your boy going through somebody. You got a cousin, a brother, an uncle, a sister. If you have a village, there's something. Yeah. So you become the point part, you guard, and this is how you file a petition.
And at one point, you became that for an entire program, right? When I was under Buffalo Prenatal with the fatherhood piece, at one point we were calling you like every other week, like, Anthony, we need help with this. We don't know how to this, that, because I don't have that lived experience, or I don't have that professional experience, and the guys on my team didn't really understand how to navigate that either. So everything that you just got finished talking about with your lived experience, like that helped an entire program that was serving the region.
Okay, I thank you for that, and I thank you for having trust in me to guide. Now, if you go back, when we talk about who I am, I used to work for a program. It was called Strengthening Families Through Stronger Fathers.
Okay.
And we would help people navigate through family court. So I have a lived experience, and then also I have a practical because I was actually in the court.
Okay.
And I would write up reports, and this is what they did, and this is what this. And it's funny that you mentioned that. So I'm actually trying to work on something like that, rebuilding families through stronger fathers. And I think that is the base of that. So, because think about it, right? Everything that we did, we would help navigate through family court. We would help you find employment. We would help, we gave almost wraparound services.
Okay.
And so it gave the court an opportunity, like a shoot, to say, okay, come back. And they had progress. I'm actually trying to find I think I left them at home, but they have updated like numbers. Oh, here you go. Like, okay, so let's say there might be 4,700. So we got visitation, we got 48 for just custody and visitation that are filed, that they have to go through the system. Then there might be another 3,500 that they just got done with, and another 3,000 or 4,000 that they just settled.
Okay.
So they're dealing with massive amounts of numbers, and so at the end of the year, you might have these aggregates. So there's a dashboard, and actually, maybe that we can get into that even with Chris, because they have a dashboard and it's updated daily, monthly.
Really?
And it lets you know, well, what, okay, so it could be protective services, abuse cases, neglect, adoption, foster. They give you the statistics. Visitation, custody, support, paternity, permanency hearings, year to date, and then you can actually go back. So it's actually, I think it's trending up more because when COVID hit, it cut it in half. So they were at like maybe 35,000 for a year.
35,000 what?
Petitions.
Okay.
And so when we're talking about navigating, so we used to help people navigate that. So when you talk about that, so that's where all the expertise comes from, lived experience and all that. So trying to get that back, people still need help. So regardless of the fact that the program's not there, the people still need help. There are still, and then we used to help with the child support and actually helping understand that. And, for example, when people say, oh, I don't want to work, but if you get the arrears and the money set before you start working, so we talk about strategies, so they don't have to take half of your check.
Talk about that. People don't know how to save money.
Yeah, no, because think about it. Okay, most people, you could be in jail and the child support still goes up.
I heard that. I've heard that before.
I had a client one time, he owed like $100,000. There's still you still be in jail. That doesn't stop, for the money. So it's so much to unpack in terms of emotions. Yeah. Because emotion is a draw and a control. And then there's also, just give me 2 seconds, there's a couple of different types of child support. Okay. You can owe the mother directly.
Yep, I've heard of that.
And then also, you can owe the county. Okay, so the county, if they pay for any birthing, any Medicaid food stamps, so now what they're doing, they're charging back. So you might get a bill for like $30,000. Well, where did this bill come from?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm helping a young gentleman now. When I was talking about establishing paternity, he has a bill for a child that he doesn't know is his. He said when he walked into the hospital, there was another guy there.
So he didn't think it was his.
And he just went on his way. Okay. But now he has a huge bill. So when I say establishing paternity, so now you have to go through 15 more hoops just to establish paternity.
So they could bill somebody even if he didn't establish paternity or sign papers?
And so I've seen people made the father that does by not showing up to court, like by default. But it's up to you to figure out how to get out of it, almost.
You gotta, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. So one of the biggest things is not even showing up to court. That's number one.
Folks need to show the court too.
So and then also being prepared. What are we talking about? Why are we here? What is this? What is that? But even with the child support, if you could work it out with the mother, before the numbers get involved, because you're gonna get hit.
Okay.
17% is 17%, but then you say, okay, depending upon the mother, she can ask for 50% of uninsured medical costs. It can be on your insurance. They need money for school. They can justify quantums of money.
Okay.
And so you have to, it goes on hers and yours, but if She is the custodial parent. And the crazy thing is this, the money can go to, for whatever, for the needs of the house.
Okay.
So it doesn't, you're like, yo, I'm like paying the house, you know. I'm paying like somebody's mortgage, you know.
Yeah.
I pay $1,000 a month for Anthony. Thank you. Right.
Gotcha.
Let alone whatever come in, half medical, half so yeah. But I didn't get everything situated. I didn't play it smart.
So the word I'm hearing from you, and we, got to land the plane here soon. The word I'm hearing from you. No, you're good. No, I mean, I feel like you should start a whole mastermind behind this. But anyways, the word I'm hearing from this conversation is engage, right? Like be engaged in the entire process. I think some of the like conversations I've had, like guys are like they get kind of passive about this stuff, or just like, yo, like they're so frustrated. I talked about being, again, provoked to me. They're so provoked and angered or enraged behind a relationship with mother and the things that aren't going right, and they disengage from the process. But from everything that you're sharing with us, it's like you have to engage, because if you don't engage, then you're the one, you're still on the hook, whether you think you should be or not, in terms of some of these responsibilities that Anthony is saying. And for the ladies out there, in no way, shape, or form do I want you all to feel like this is for guys only. Our community is for men, but we are for the whole family. So at the end of the day, we want everybody to win. Ultimately, that child that's in the picture, but we just realize that sometimes, like, guys just don't understand. They don't know. So we this is for our families to be better. But
yes, so I think you have to really just understand what it is you want to do. And I think once you understand it is what you want to do, and how you want to do it, and formulate a plan. Yes, you definitely have to be engaged. You're going to deal with it one way or another. Yeah. Okay, so you might say, okay, so they'll mess with your driver's license. Okay, at 25, there's a threshold. Anything above $2,500, there's at $600 they can do this and that. So at $2,500 they can take your passport. Okay. Your driver's license. There's a multitude of things. They're hooked up with the taxation and finance. So now they can, I have money into account, and they're able to take that.
Really? Mm-hmm. And this is statewide, or it doesn't matter?
Federal. It doesn't matter, because the problem with child support is you pay or you don't. The standard code is there's no gray area. Okay. Either you do or you don't. Okay. And you pay or you don't, and then the semantics become how you pay and all that. Okay. So, like, for example, if with the child, you can pay the mother directly, or you can get it taken out. Now, if you have a good relationship, you can pay directly. But let's say you have a situation where I didn't give him the money, or you have the receipts and all that. So it's easier for me just to get it taken out. Yeah. But you're gonna ding you. So whatever that number is, they're gonna ding every ding. So
no matter what.
No matter what. So, but when it comes to core to things, I have records, and I don't have to have receipts and this and this and this and all the other stuff. Gotcha. But you have to be engaged. You have to know what it is you want. Do I want custody? Do I want visitation? So, or what is the structured schedule? Can I have him from a Friday to a Monday? Are we going on family vacations? Are we going on? So you have to think about things. Things get messy around the holidays. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Your family may want to see him, her family may want to see him, but what does this paperwork say? So now we can enforce it to where, okay, now I can actually go to court. Now, if they enforce it, but I can actually have some type of legal standing. Yeah. So I get him from the 1st to the 3rd, or the vacations, and so you have to really stay engaged into what it is you want to do, and dealing with the school, and dealing with that, and even dealing with the teachers, because even just going and knowing the information is not even good enough. Well, how was his grades? I actually, with my son, got with the teachers and had to come up with a plan. Hey, this is what we need. And so this is your area. The father engaged, statistics and all the other stuff. So it's do you also, you have to decide, do you want to do that? There are some people that don't want to do all that.
No, that's right. And I was going to touch on that, but you're right. There are some folks.
And that's your prerogative for whatever for whatever reason.
Right.
But then also, when we talk about the emotional draw, understand that pain, that misery, that hurt, that all those things manifest into all these different diseases and this and that, and
And as we close out, let's talk about that for a second, because a lot of fathers sometimes feel like they're not necessary, right? Like, and so you're going through all this stuff, and I've heard it over the years. like this, it ain't worth it. Like it's just too much. Like I'm tired emotionally, mentally, maybe financially, and you're like, yo, I just want to give up. And yeah, maybe your partner gets with somebody else, and there's another male figure in there, but there's nobody like you, right? There's nobody like, the biological father in terms of being able to fill those shoes. Your child is always going to yearn for that relationship, that connection with you, regardless of whether she's able to do it by herself or if there's another man involved. So like the fight, like I just, the whole theme of like what you're sharing, even underneath all of the legal stuff, is like to keep fighting.
And if you see, you said like 5 statements in there, so that's why we get on the stuff. Because think about it, right? I had to learn my kids just want me. Mm-hmm. So regardless of the fact, if I had money and had all these things, they just wanted me and my time. Mm-hmm. Okay? A couple of things. It's different when you have a girl. So the first relationship with the man she has is with her father. Mm. So even though me and her mother, I have 2 mothers. 2 mothers, oldest and youngest, and then you have Anthony. But how she saw I treated her mother. Yeah. Okay? Am I her safe place? Okay? But I had to learn she just wanted to play goldfish or whatever it was next. You know what I'm saying? And but I actually miss that now because she's 17 and about to start college next year.
She don't want to play no more, man.
No, Daddy, we need, I got a $220 silk press for the prom. I need a couple dollars. You know what I'm saying? So my boys, shadowing, just being there, finding common themes in video games and actually getting in. I had to stop being into myself and get into their world. Okay, yeah. Anthony's into anime. Blake's into this and this, so versus me tagging them and bringing them along to my stuff. Yeah. What is it that you like? So they love that, and we were just at the movies last night. Went to the movies and being consistent. So if we're going to do something, say something. We went to the movie. We went to the movie last night at 10:30.
What'd you go see?
Despicable Me 4.
They got number 4 out?
Yes, number 4, but you talked about so much, even just finding your community. So when you're talking about learning and navigating this, I had to learn from other fathers who went through it. And things that they said came to fruition. Yeah. So when you talk about that, but then also trying to see your child and wanting to see your child and how to see your child, the emotions get involved. Who is she dealing with? Who is he dealing with? I don't want him around my no girl, or I don't want him around no guy. But also, if anything, this is also the emotional part. At a certain time, I was happy to see you. I had a kid with you. Right. So something happened in between, and also we have to take ownership of that. Yes, ladies, we have to. I drove her crazy somewhere. You know what I'm trying to say? Something happened. There was something to that. But then, like I said before, is it too painful to go back to? Because maybe the apology should have been in year 3 or 4, but we couldn't even be at a space that we're at. It might took year 12 to get here. Yeah,
it's a journey, right? What's one piece of encouragement you want to share with our community before we close out?
First of all, I would like to thank you. Actually, we got to come back. So I feel like I got so much to talk about. It's
we didn't even touch on it.
Yeah, like it's so. But I appreciate your time. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. Okay. Okay. A couple of things. Dominic Langston, haven't seen him in years, right? He said, "What's the first lesson on Sesame Street?" I said, "Oh." I said, "Colors, your name." He said, "No, same and different." He said, "What do you mean?" He said, "If you're not getting the results you want, then you have to do something different. Once you get the results that you want, then you do the same thing. A lot of times we do the same thing, but it's not working." Yeah. And so when you go with James Clear, he talks about 1%. You have to do 1%, one thing a day.
That's my book.
Exactly. So so what is your 1% and how we're going to compound this? And also when he was talking about the environments and the structures, how can we consistently make good habits, good choices, but the environment is not conducive to that. So I look at my black people, and so how can I pump in the community good choices, good habits? Also, 2 things. Excuses are tools of the incompetent, which build monuments of nothingness, and those that specialize in excuses are seldom capable of anything else. Therefore, there are no excuses, right? So when we talk about the Father, you giving me all these excuses of why you didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
You giving me all these excuses. Because if you wanted to be there, if you wanted to be at the Bills game, guess where you're going to be at?
Oh, you're going to be at that game.
If you want, wherever you wanted to be and whatever you wanted to do, you're going to devote your time to that.
Absolutely.
And then the last thing is this. It's called 12 P's. Piss poor preparation promotes piss poor performance. Piss poor performance promotes pain. So if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, it's going to hurt. Yeah. And so I got tired of it hurting. So how did I use this hurt to navigate me, to propel me to, but I had to reach rock bottom. I had to run from therapy. I had to run from the gym. Also the gym, Body of Wealth. It was a support. They loved me when I didn't know I needed to be loved. And so, and that's also one thing, Antoine, it's not a quick thing. It might take you 2, 3, 4 years just to really find yourself and go through things, and emotions take time.
That's right.
And so the last thing is be water. Like I think it's Jackie Chan. Don't be a lot of dams. Right, because we build so many dams, you can't flow. So God can't use you how you're supposed to be used and where you're supposed to go, because you trying to outthink God. Folks have died trying to outweight and think God.
Yeah.
God said, do this, 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 and this. You don't want to do this, 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 and this. So, all right, cool. But you have a short lifespan. God is God. God ain't.
I was just sharing with Simona's quote from this podcast someone I went to in Atlanta last month, and the lady said that a good idea is not a God idea. And it's like, yeah, like we think we are so smart sometimes. So listen, we so appreciate you guys tuning in with us. And as you can see, Anthony and I probably go for a whole nother hour with you. Next time we come back, we just going to touch on some of these books and quotes that he brought up. I mean, that's a whole conversation in of itself. But I so appreciate you for being here today.
Man, thank you, man. I appreciate it. This is good for my soul. Yeah. And I needed this. So this hopefully, I don't know, help somebody. You never know how.
Oh, no, you help some. Yeah, you help me.
You helped me. So I think this, you have to build this. And the last thing is, okay, you have to make yourself vulnerable to receive the help.
Oh, yeah.
You have to, but I really have to want to sit down and be in my space, in my therapy, be in my finances, being better me and my kids. So you have to really want to sit there. You just can't walk around the house. You just got to be in there. So I think that becomes the thing. Like you said,
that's hard sometimes. Yeah.
And it's very hard.
Yeah, that's hard. So listen, love y'all. Peace out. We'll see you next time.